Hey, it's Maria. Thanks for stopping back by to my Workbasket Cook series. Today we're going to make some stuffed pork chops. The recipe calls for 4 thick-cut pork chops. These were on sale in my local Fresh Time, so I went ahead and bought a little bit more. Sometimes my family tends to eat a little bit more than normal. So I went ahead and made more than just the 4. I also talked to my local Fresh Time because this is supposed to have a pocket in the pork chop. I didn't know what that meant, but the butcher there was nice enough to tell me that really how they do it is they always cut that pocket in the top. So the picture that I have that was in the original magazine shows the pocket in the middle as opposed to in the top. But I thought, well, if this is how they do it now, then I'll go ahead and try it. It seemed like it couldn't be that hard, and I'm not some kind of an expert cook, so I decided that this just seemed like a good option. I just took my knife and gently cut back and forth across the top of each of the pork chops, that fatty end, so that I could get that nice cut. After I went ahead and did all of them, I did go back because I was really cautious in the beginning to not make it too big, but I went back and made some of them a little bit bigger. The recipe also calls for 1/4 of a cup of celery. So I decided that 1/4 of a cup is probably the equivalent of one stalk or one rib of the celery. So I went ahead and washed it and then trimmed off the end and then stuck it in my compost. That's my little compost thing up there in the corner. And then I just cut them. I cut it down the center to make the small pieces kind of small, and then just trimmed them or cut them into small pieces. Wasn't hard. You don't have to be an expert cook because I certainly am not. Just cut them into roughly about the same size pieces. No big deal if some are a little bit bigger than others. You can always go back and recut. But if you're like me and you really don't like chopping onions, you chop all your onions in one day and put them in a bag in your freezer, which is what I did, and I just take them out as I need them. I used about 1/2 cup. I believe the recipe calls for 1/4 of a cup. Now I'm just going to stick about 2 tablespoons of butter into a warming or a semi-warm, it's starting to warm up, pan, and I'm just going to let the butter melt and do its thing so that I can saute my onions and celery in it. So just kind of wait until it's a little bit shimmery and then just kind of dump in all that onion and celery ribs. Give it a nice little, get it all coated in the butter. It smells really good. I didn't think I would like it. I'm not a fan of celery, but yeah, it really does look good. And before you start stuffing, go ahead and put your oven or preheat your oven to 350. Now it's time to prep, getting ready to stuff your chops. At this point, I actually also have put in the recipe calls for rice, and I have cooked in the microwave some riced cauliflower because, getting some extra veggies in is always good. So I went ahead and used that instead of rice, but if you would rather make rice, go for it. I used a little bit of coconut oil to just kind of grease the bottom of the pan I'm going to cook in. And now I'm going to just start stuffing my my chops. Oh, wait, this recipe is Swedish style, and it does call for you to use sour cream. Now, when I was reading the instructions, I realized that I had the sour cream, out, but it is nowhere in the instructions as to when you're supposed to add it. So my mixture is already still warm, and I thought, well, it'll be fine. It'll all mix in well. It'll cool it down a little before I start putting it into my chops. So I just went ahead and put in, I didn't measure it, I just threw it in. It says about 3/4 of a cup, and I think that's probably about what I did. So I just mixed it into my warm mixture, and I'm going to just grab a spoon and start spooning it into these chops to stuff them. Now that your chops are stuffed, just go ahead and put whatever remaining stuffing you have, just put that over the top of the chops. You would probably have more than I would because I had 4, I didn't do 4 chops, I did 6. So I didn't have quite as much. I didn't really up the stuffing mixture, and maybe next time I would, but I just went ahead and it's really not that bad of an amount left over, but a little bit more might have been a little bit better. So we are in the final stretch. At this point, you're supposed to add either 2 tablespoons of hot water or 2 tablespoons of bouillon. I chose to just take a couple of cubes of turkey broth that I had made after Thanksgiving and use it as opposed to hot water or bouillon. I just nestled them in, and then I covered everything as a whole. You cook it at 350 for 1 hour, and then you take the cover off and cook it for a remaining half an hour. So it's a whole hour and a half of cook time. Please be aware of that. This is not, I mean, you can do a bunch of other things, but yeah. So just be prepared. After that hour and a half, it came out looking nice and moist. And look at that beautiful color. I went really simple with our side and just did some green beans. So this was really a nice recipe, and my girls actually liked it as well. I hope you enjoyed, and happy cooking!